Hi, this is Russ Tanner from Global Skywatch. It is Thursday, March 14th, 2013. We're having a special conference tonight. We normally have our conferences on Monday night, but we're having a special edition tonight because we have some friends from across the big pond who are joining us to tell us about a special project that they're involved in. We are just becoming acquainted with each other, getting to know each other. So we're going to chat a little bit tonight, find out what they're doing, and probably learn a few things about what everybody couldn't do to battle chemtrails. So I've got Mona and Max with me, and I'd love for Mona, why don't you start off and tell us a bit about yourself and how you got involved in all of this.
Yes, hello Russ, it's lovely to speak to you. How I got involved, I'm a passionate photographer, and I love photographing the sunsets, I love photographing the moonrises, and I noticed about a year ago we had a drought in this country. Well, the BBC would have led us to believe that we were having a drought, but for about a month I could not take any photographs of the sunset, and I was aware of chemtrails before. I have a wonderful friend in England called Olga Raffle. Now she has a site called Chemtrails Project UK, and I met her at a beautiful festival, and she first introduced me to the subject of chemtrailing, and she'd come over from Los Angeles about 5 years ago. And with awareness, when you first become aware of geoengineering and chemtrails, it didn't sink in straight of all, but it was like a seed that was planted within me. And so with the photography, when I started noticing the sky drastically change and not being able to photograph the sunset, and that's when I started to get involved in research into geoengineering myself. And we had one day in the summer last year where the whole sky was a grid of crisscrosses, and it was horrific to experience. I'm sure a lot of people around the world experienced the same thing, but that was a moment where I just promised myself. I was making a film at the time about my local community, and I dropped everything I was doing, and I made a promise to myself that I would do everything I could to raise awareness, and that is what I've done ever since. With the help of others, we put on a conference, started in Stroud in Nelson through Olga Raffle. We put the first one on there, and it was a massive success. People travelled from the southwest of the country, and it was really lovely because meeting up in person is just so important. It's so important to be able to have conversations and get to know people. And after that meeting, we set about putting a conference on in London, which, as far as I knew, hadn't been done before. And I didn't think too much about it. I just followed my heart and thought this is something that I really needed to be doing. You know, I'm a creative person. I'm very passionate, and I needed the help of lots of logical, scientific people. And that's how I got in touch with Bliss, who I'd seen his videos on YouTube, and I found him on Facebook. And then we got into communication, along with a couple of other guys, Ben Dodd and Alan Potter as well from Kent. And we all talked about putting on a conference. And once I'd set a date and I raised the funds, which weren't too difficult because people were willing to do anything to get involved, I found that as soon as I set about putting a date down, lots of people came forward and said, what can we do to help? And the conference was a wonderful success. It was a brilliant opportunity. People travelled. I mean, Max came from south of France. We had people travel down from the north of the country, from Wales. And it was just wonderful to connect so many people. And since then, we've been putting gatherings on in central London just to try to raise awareness. It's been quite difficult, though, because central London isn't the best place to raise awareness because people are walking along the streets preoccupied with their consumerism or on their way to work. But just getting, I'm the person that I'm out on the streets. My local community, I talk to everybody. I'm known by as many people as I can make myself known by, I'm handing out information. A year ago that thought I was insane come up to me now and ask for more information and come to fundraisers that I try to organise and want to get involved. And so for me, I'm very grassroots. For me, it's about trying to connect people at street level and, do everything that I can. This to me is priority one, making as many people aware and do whatever little or as much as we can do, even if it's just making arrangements for talk to people, share our information. That's the level that I'm working at, and I've been privileged to meet, through doing this, meet lots of people that are very informative and very knowledgeable, that are teaching me all the time. So, that's me.
Well, that's great. Thank you so much. Where are you located now?
I'm in London. I'm in the lovely location of Notting Hill, which is in West London.
Oh, excellent. Okay. Well, thank you. We also have with us Max. How are you doing tonight, Max?
I'm very well, thank you.
I see you online every day posting about chemtrails and spreading the word. Why don't you tell us a little bit about how you got involved in this and what's going on in your life?
Okay, yeah. I've known about various issues going on in the world for quite most of my life, really. But interestingly enough, it wasn't until last summer that I became aware of chemtrails. Where we live in the southwest of France, we live in a region where we get very high rates of sunshine. And the summer was absolutely, it was appalling. It was very cloudy and there were lots of these streaks in the sky. And my lady Monica said to me, what's going on up there? And it was like, yeah, something is going on up there. I said, maybe they're trying to control, Monica said, maybe they're trying to control the weather. And I said, well, actually, I know they can control the weather because I knew about HAARP, which is a crazy thing. I'd met a really good author called Renee Henry about 10 years before, and she'd written extensively about HAARP. And I just happened to work for her, and I talked about her about other issues like the Bilderberg Group and various other things. And I didn't really follow it up. And it wasn't until we realised that these chemtrails, I started to research it last year. And, I just didn't stop researching, I suppose. I've just looked into it pretty much every waking hour, every single day, and tried to find as much reliable information as I can that felt credible and realistic, because I realised there was a lot of disinformation and a lot of confusion, and it made me realise that this is something actually really quite important, because they're going to great lengths to try and disguise the facts. So I guess that's how I got into this, and I can't claim to be any real expert except for the fact that I've worked outside all my life, and I had a couple of years in the British Army, and I learnt whilst I was in the army about the woodpecker, which was a Russian antenna where they would send extremely low frequencies to America and to north of Europe. And it was about trying to affect human behaviour. So I did actually learn about that in lectures when I was in the army. And that was a long time ago. That was 20 years ago, 25 years ago. And so I kind of was carrying that around in my mind. And then when I learned about a little bit about HAARP, I realised that there was some connection. And basically, I guess, there is some kind of knowledge you pick up along the way. And it's not until you get a trigger issue, perhaps like chemtrails, that you decide, I need to do something more about this. I need to investigate this. I need to expose this. I need to understand it, because something all along has been pulling me towards understanding this or facing up to something. I know there's something wrong in the world. There are many things wrong in the world. And I guess for all of us that are involved in this now, something triggers our action to commit us to doing something. And finally, it was chemtrails last year. So I guess that's really where I'm coming from. And I think that from my experiences in the army before, I think that I learned to sift out disinformation, and I understand how they feed propaganda and lies. So I'm not saying that equipped me, but it certainly gave me a feeling for looking for information. And when I found the information, I wanted to share it, because I know that the only way we're ever going to stop this is by sharing information and raising the public consciousness, just so that everyone starts to understand the truth. Yes. And I think that's the only real way we'll ever stop this is by everyone realizing what's going on.
Right.
And so that's me. That's why I'm committed and doing everything I can.
Well, everybody online is familiar with the Chug-A-Boom anti-chemtrail van. Is that your van?
Yeah, it is my van. Yeah, it's great to hear that.
How'd you? Yeah, I know it's very popular. So what happened there? What enticed you to paint your van up like that?
Well, I think what it was as I started to make some videos and started to share the videos, people started to give me a lot of positive feedback and a lot of encouragement. And I started to realise that I was committing myself to raising awareness. And this wasn't a hobby or something. This is something very serious. And basically, the more and more you find out information, you can't unlearn that information, and your eyes are opened. And you can't unlearn it. So it's like I started to think, well, I need to make a statement to people so that I can provoke them to ask me questions. And I thought, well, why not paint the van up? It just came to me one day. It was funny, actually. I was in a scrapyard looking for some metal shavings to make my first chembuster. And whilst I was in there, I saw this big circular mesh type thing, and for some reason I was really drawn to it. And that's what I used as the stencil to do the Stop Chemtrail Poison sign, which was the first sign that I put on the van. So I kind of had this feeling sometimes that you kind of have to follow your intuition. And so I guess it was just, I'm just flowing, going with the flow, and it just feels like it was the right thing to do. And it certainly has allowed me to talk to people that I'm certain that I would never get the opportunity to speak with. And it really has made a massive impact. I think what it does is it allows people to realise somebody believes in this so much so that they're willing to paint the van up and make a statement. And it's because I wholeheartedly, 100% believe in the information that I'm sharing.
Well, that's awesome. It's actually made quite an impact online. But for those who don't know, can you describe what the Chug-A-Boom, is that what you call it, the Chug-A-Boom van?
Yeah, I did actually decide to call it a Chug-A-Boom.
Okay.
Well, it's a big van. It's I don't know what you call it. Is it a truck in the US? It's a 3.5-ton truck. It's a panel van. It's quite big, I suppose. Basically, I've put some signs, some big circular signs saying "Stop Chemtrail Poisons," and the idea is it's a grid with the Earth. Of the Earth, and it's got planes flying out of it. So the idea is that the planes are flying all around the Earth, spraying poison everywhere. And I wanted to make links with lots of different groups that I'm connected with on Facebook, and publicise them, and also get the message across that this is a worldwide concern, and that people are forming groups all around the world. And it's amazing. I am connected to so many different people in so many different countries, all working as hard as they can to raise awareness. And I'm inspired by everyone making this effort. It's a huge huge momentum. That's it seems to have grown a great deal since I started. Well, I suppose actually it's more or less a year ago actually that I started, but there seem to be many more people involved now, and also I find that when I speak to people now, I guess the level of information that's shared has increased so much that it's easy to come across as very plausible, whereas when I first started to talk about it, I found lots of problems speaking to people, which is why the van is quite good, because I've seen people stopping and looking at it and reading the stuff on the van. It's literally covered on every side, although I have got a few spaces left, so I'm open to suggestions if people think there's something important they'd like me to put on there. I see people looking at the van. I've seen people driving past, slowing down, looking, and I've been working outside, and I've seen people pull up, stop, read the van for a while, and then drive on. And it's a really good tool. You know, I park it up in the supermarket, and there's people looking there, they're driving past, putting their thumbs up. You know, it's a great way to get the message across to people, because I don't think anyone's doing that yet.
Well, I think it's awesome what you're doing, and I'm encouraging people to put bumper stickers on their cars and signs in their yards, because we have to go and reach outside of our circles. We all know what's going on. We all talk among ourselves, but to reach outside of our circles is really important. So I love what you're doing. You know, this is a great segue, Max, to talk about this project. I don't want to keep you guys too long, and Mona, I haven't forgotten about you. I know you're there.
I'm here.
Yes. Thank you. Will, I want to get to you next, Mona, but I want to ask about this Chug-A-Boom Awareness Tour. What is this Chug-A-Boom Awareness Tour thing all about? What is that?
Well, after the first conference and having Max over in the UK, we decided we were going to do another conference, and we thought, well, why stick to just the one conference? If Max is going to travel over from the south of France, why don't we take advantage of him being in the country? So, because there's so many groups now that set up over the last year around the United Kingdom, and we've been putting word out. There's a group in Yorkshire. There's a wonderful group in Liverpool who are having an awareness day on the 30th of this month at Lime Street, Liverpool train station. We're going to have a conference in Liverpool. They're getting involved with organising a conference with us. We're going to have a conference in Kent. We're having a conference in Portsmouth. We're having a conference in Stroud. And we're just going to get on the road and in between conferences, see where the Chug-A-Boom Boom takes us. We want to visit universities. We're going to have hopefully a list of people that we want to try to catch up with an interview. We're going to live stream everything, and we're going to hopefully have a documentary filmmaker on the cruise for some of the journey at least, and just try to get to as many towns and cities as we can within the space of time and within the fuel budget that we have. And as well as it being very serious, try to have some fun along the way and meet as many people. And we've also got, if I can mention, on the 6th of April in Hyde Park, we've got a gathering. It's called Anti-Geoengineering Pro-Humanity World Peace Protest. And that's going to start the day before our tour. And that's organised by a guy called Urban Hippie here in the UK. And we're all meeting at Speaker's Corner. And what we're doing is taking all of our evidence, everybody gathering evidence so we can hand it all in together. And that's the rainwater samples, soil samples, photographic evidence. And so from my experience personally of contacting my MP, I've been sending emails and I don't have any. I live in the Royal Borough of Kensington and Chelsea, Conservative constituency, and I don't hear from my MP. And so I thought maybe if we can just make town halls one location that we can visit, as well as universities, and maybe as well as the conferences, you know, get out on the streets, get the Brighton, go along the seafront, just meet lots of people that we wouldn't normally meet, and get messaged, to people that normally we wouldn't have the opportunity to make contact with. But it's still in the process at the minute of the planning, but we do know for sure that Stroud and Liverpool, Portsmouth and Kent are definitely locations that we'll be visiting.
Now, what about the people who are going to be in? We're having a little bit of a problem with your sound. I think some people might not be able to make out everything that you're saying. It sounds a little more muffled on this end. So if I miss a couple key points, forgive me. But how many people are you going to have traveling with you?
Well, I think we're going to have 4 people in the Chug-A-Boom, and whoever wants to come along, we're hoping that a couple of cars of people. If people want to join the tour and come along with us, grab a tent and join us, that'd be fantastic. That's what we're hoping. We're keeping this as open as possible, so people that want to get involved. If we go to one city and we meet a group of people and they've got a couple of days free and they want to come and join us, that would be fantastic. I mean, we're hoping this is going to give everyone the opportunity to get involved. This isn't, going to be a West End production. This is just going to day people, real people, all meeting up out on the street, communicating, and the conference stations as well. We've got a Facebook page just set up today, and it's the Chug-A-Boom Geoengineering Chemtrail Agenda 21 Awareness UK Tour, and we've set that up today, and we're hopefully going to be adding information once we know the conferences, and inviting people to come down and get involved as well. We want everybody to have the opportunity to get involved with this tour.
All right, well, that's awesome. This is a great way to raise awareness, and you're kind of just flying through this. Do you have, and forgive me if I missed this, because like I said, we're having a little bit of audio issue with your feed, but is there a prospective date that you will actually hit the road?
Well, Max is coming over for the Hyde Park. We're going to start the Hyde Park Garden on the 6th of April, and the Facebook page for that way, and then we're going to start the tour the day after, the 7th, and we're going to head around the country. We're going to go up to the west of the country and go across and come down on the east coast of the country.
That's awesome. That's great. If anybody is on for those who are on the conference, if you would like to ask a question of Mona or Max, press *6 on your phone, and if you're on the live stream, go ahead and type it into the chat room, and I'll be happy to relay that to them. So April 6th, just so in case those people are not hearing the audio feed from Mona clearly, April 6th seemed to be the launch date, and they also would be happy if people joined in along the way, right? If you have you might end up with a little caravan thing going on or something like that. Is that what might happen, Mona?
That's what we're hoping. On the 6th of April, we've got the protest. We've got the Geoengineering and Pro-Humanity World Peace protest. And we will be starting the tour on the 7th, the day after. But Max will be coming over from quite a lot of people that are travelling from all over the place to try to get to Hyde Park. We've had gatherings in London, and we've had protests in different locations around the UK, but we haven't had everybody in one place. And so this gathering that we're having on the 6th is very, very important, because we're hopefully getting people, coming from all different around the United Kingdom.
Okay. All right. Excellent. Okay. So let me just I again, unfortunately, couldn't make out all the audio, but April 6th is when the big when the Geoengineering and World Peace Protest Day is. I have that right. Is that right?
Yes, that's right. And the tour will be starting on the day after.
Okay, on the 7th, the day after, is when your tour is going to start. Okay. And I want to invite both of you, if you have Oh, wait, on the phone. Anybody who's on the conference call, give me just a second to enter Q&A mode so *6 will work. So hold on just a second. There's our cue. So now you can actually press *6 on your phone, and you'll be able to ask a question. Or if you're on the live stream, just type it into the chat room, and I'll be happy to relay it. Okay, so April 7th is when the tour is going to start. And if you guys want to, anytime along the way, do a live stream from some location, maybe you have to find a location with wireless internet and you want to show a little bit of video and pump that through our live stream and let everybody see all of you and meet all of you, you're always welcome to do that. So feel free just to contact me and let me know, or we could set up a few times and dates ahead of time, whatever works for you. If it's something you're interested in, just to try to get the whole world involved. If they can't be there in person, at least they can keep an eye on what you're doing. What I'd love to do is there anything that's on you guys' mind about geoengineering that you just wanted an opportunity to say? This conference is being recorded, so it will be heard over a long period of time by a lot of people. So anything, how about you, Max? Anything, what's on your mind about this?
Yeah, I think there is something sort of, maybe it's quite simple and fundamental, but there is something I think that's quite important for everybody to consider. I believe that many governments are complicitly involved in a worldwide program to control the weather, to control our food supply, and also to use an exotic weapon system revolving around HARP. And what I'd like to say to everybody as they start to wake up is, what would you do if you had irrefutable evidence? I believe that we will collectively arrive at the point where we will have irrefutable evidence. So if we have this situation, what will we do? What will be our move? How will we move forward if we have irrefutable evidence that no one can walk away from, that the people can't say, no, we don't believe in it? If it's totally irrefutable, I don't know exactly what it would be, apart from the evidence we gather the best we can. At some point, we're going to encourage whistleblowers to come forward. We're going to maybe get some politicians to speak out when their conscience gets too difficult to handle. We're going to be left with this situation where ultimately we're going to have to face the fact that our governments are mismanaging their position. They're unfit to govern. They've done terrible things. And, to have a worldwide program spraying toxins into the atmosphere and using electromagnetic radiation with all kinds of dire consequences for nature and for humanity, how do we address that situation? Where will we go? What point do we want to get to? What really, we're raising awareness to something that's incredible. It's going to rock everyone's world. It's going to shatter their reality as they face up to the facts that the people you've trusted all your lives are deceiving you and working against you. And, these are very tough questions to have to deal with. But I think if you carry on researching and finding the information, it dawns on you that basically our governments have a different agenda than looking after the people. They're looking after the corporate interests, they're looking after their own interests, and they're not taking care of us. And in fact, they're actually harming us. So what are we going to do about it? Where will we go? If we get the irrefutable evidence and we're left in that situation where we know that they are definitely doing this to us, what do we hope? Well, are we going to get the police involved? Are we going to appeal to the military to examine the evidence, to turn, to what level are we going to take this? And I think that's a big question that ultimately everyone's going to have to face this. If they're seriously interested in finding out the truth, they're going to be left with this dilemma. What do you do?
Do you think it's vital that we start working internationally, that all of our groups from the different countries start communicating and working together on this?
Well, Russ, I think it's absolutely essential we do, and this is something, there is something I would like us all to think about doing. I would like us to think about raising the money to get aerial samples of these trails. Now, many of us have been following the flight paths. I've been archiving the flight paths using Flight Radar 24. Sometimes airlines like Sky Airlines, based in Antalya in Turkey, they were established in 2000 and they started ops in 2001. I've got them zigzagging all across Europe and North Africa, just flying zigzag backwards and forwards. Now, you can't tell me the air traffic control are saying that's normal activity. And sometimes their flight details put them in a different country on a different flight path, and they're flying in a totally different country they shouldn't be in, and they're zigzagging all over the place. There's another company called Bluebird Cargo. They are based in Reykjavik, Iceland, and they were also set up in 2000, and they started ops in 2001, and they spray us regularly. And the thing is, what we need is an aerial sample, and what would be best is if we can have multiple aerial samples from different regions of the world that can be conclusive. It costs about $3,500 to get a jet plane, but we need a grab canister to be able to take the aerial sample. Because the thing is, you can imagine, if we can get a jet to go up there in an area we know they spray anyway, and we'll just work out the destination and the origin so that we can make sure our flight path crosses it, and we can take an air sample. And if we can video that, take the air sample, get it legitimately analysed so that it is completely valid and the evidence is conclusive. You know, this is something, each one of us might not be able to put up the $3,500 or whatever it might cost, but collectively, altogether, we can do this. And I think that it's the next step. We've got rainwater samples, we've got snow samples, some people have had blood samples done, some people have had hair samples done. We know lots of information that we've gleaned from the internet, from scientific journals and various other sources that we can piece together what's going on, but we need the aerial sample. And that's what I think we could do collectively.
Yeah, that sounds like that would be very helpful. I just had a conversation with someone about that today, and it seems that when you're ready to go forward with this, then let's internationally, notify everybody and have everybody pitch in $10. And if we can get, 350 people pitching in $10, it'd be a piece of cake, to raise the money that we need,
Well, I think this is likely to happen. We'll make this happen. And this leads us back to my earlier thoughts. What are we going to do when we've got the irrefutable evidence? And I think that's what everyone's going to have to face up to, because, ultimately, can we run to a government for help when it's the government that are involved in this? Obviously, I don't think it's all departments of government, but, and this is obviously international, but so we need to raise this awareness. I guess the irrefutable evidence will help speed up the process, but we need to get to a situation where we, the people, can appeal to the lower echelons within government who are perhaps through compartmentalisation not aware of what's really going on, and reach everybody. We must reach everybody, because we want a peaceful resolution to this situation. We don't want riots, we don't want confrontations with police, because we know the police are very well trained. When I was in the army, we were training the police for riot tactics. And I can assure you that they basically, the police will treat people in a very methodical fashion. They'll allow them to do their protesting, and then when it comes to time, they will go through their various tactics and they will peel people off. They'll work out in advance who are the ringleaders, who are the main people, and let's take them out first. And they'll have grab teams and they will take those people out, and it's just horrible. And I don't want to. One day we might have to fight literally for what we want, because we really believe in what we want. But I don't want to see rioting. I don't want to see us go down that route. And I think the only way we can avoid that is by literally educating everybody to the truth. And I think we will see a domino effect, as it's already beginning, where more and more people are becoming aware to all the various issues and the whole truth of the situation. And I think that if everybody can wake up to the truth, and that means everyone starts communicating to all their friends and neighbours, the ones that didn't talk to them because they were embarrassed and they felt uncomfortable talking about this stuff, they'll change their opinions when they've got irrefutable truth, facts. And,
well, Max, the other part about this is that this tour that you're going on is not simply about chemtrails, because you're really trying to raise awareness about other issues, right? What other issues are you hoping to enlighten people about?
Well, I guess that depends on how people respond. But the thing is, we know that companies like Monsanto are having patents for aluminium-resistant crops. Well, aluminium is a very abundant metal in nature, but it's normally in a safe form. So you wouldn't need to worry about having a patent for seeds for a toxic form of aluminium. The only reason they're getting toxic forms of aluminium is because they're spraying it so much in the atmosphere, so it's changing the soils. And so these companies, not just Monsanto, other companies as well, are making patents for aluminium-resistant crops. And basically there is a political movement to push everyone towards GMO foods. And the reason is, of course, because they want the whole of humanity dependent on the worldwide global state that they're revealing. Because basically the New World Order is a totalitarian state that's been developed over decades, possibly longer, and they're using systems like the United Nations Agenda 21, which is a very deceiving program initiated by the United Nations, obviously, but before that, the Club of Rome, this is about global warming. Global warming's a fraud. It's not what they're trying to make out. It's very easy. If you want to try to explain to people that geoengineering is a response to a problem, but the problem was a fraud in the first place. Global warming is a fraud. You only have to look at facts. Like, for example, in Greenland, which was called Greenland for a reason, because when they named it Greenland, it was green. Up until the 13th century, Vikings that settled there were growing barley, and they had deep wells, which they were drawing water from, which, of course, now it's covered in ice and snow, and that's not possible. It's because during the Middle Ages, we had a mini ice age. So the climate's changed, but it hasn't changed because of man's activities. It's basically the powers that be, the people in the club, the elites at the top, have been looking for a unifying problem that they can present to the world so they can get all of the world's governments under one umbrella so that they can control the world. This is about one world governance. So the global warming is the threat to all of the world. So all the nations have to start towing the line and adopting the new rules and regulations and paying their carbon taxes and everything else. They can manipulate food production. They can manipulate industrial activity. They can basically start controlling the world, and that means start controlling every single one of us.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you, Max. I think you're right on target, but forgive me, I interrupted you. Go ahead and finish.
No, that's okay. I could quite easily talk for hours on this. If you're not careful, I will keep talking. But basically, we are at the precipice of change. The elites have been working for decades to try to control all the people on this planet. They've been maneuvering us through various wars and economic problems and various strategies so that they can maneuver the world's population into a situation where they'll accept control. And that might sound incredible to some people, but, you know, as it starts to dawn on you what I'm talking about and what other people are talking about, and you look back in history, you can see the changes. You can see various changes along through the years. Basically, the West has been destabilized because in order to bring us all under control, they need us dependent on the state. So they're changing the way governance works. In America, unfortunately, from what I'm reading, you can see real change, massive change, and they're slowly removing all your rights to freedom. They're changing they're acting against your constitution, and they're basically taking away all your jobs. They're exporting them abroad. They're making people dependent on the state. Lots of people are taking welfare and food stamps and whatever it is to make them dependent on the state. And when people are dependent, you can get them to do whatever you want if you're the government. You know, and this is the situation that people have got to realise. We're all under attack. It's not necessarily from soldiers walking down the streets. It could be economic attack. It could be the fact that your factories are all closing down, and the way that your economy works is changing. You know, it's no accident that every country is in debt. It wasn't always this way. It's strategy. The banks are forcing countries into debt so that they can say to the governments, okay, great, you can't pay us back. Right, we want you to do other things to repay us. Like, for example, in New Zealand is a country that prides itself on being quite open politically, and sort of like the government is like we the people. But because the world governance wants to adopt the United Nations Agenda 21 and they want everyone to play their game, what they've done is they've used HARP and they've induced the earthquake there 2 years ago in Christchurch, or a year ago, I'm not sure on the dates actually, but the PM there twice recently, when he was talking about the earthquake, twice mentioned and had to correct himself, calling it a man-made earthquake, which I think is quite significant. Then I find out by accident that the Federal Reserve of the United States, when somebody was questioning Mr. Bernanke about where is $500 billion, he said, well, 9 billion went to New Zealand. So I thought, hang on a minute, they just had an earthquake. And now they've got a 9 billion debt to pay off. This sounds like a mafia extortion deal. And this is the way that these organisations like the CFR, like the Federal Reserve, like the World Bank, the IMF, this is how they work. They put pressure on countries, they get them into debt, and then once they're in debt, they can get them to do what they want. And if they don't do that, they'll try something else. They'll use their weather weapon. They'll give them an example. You know, like in Iceland, they had their revolution, which is a wonderful inspiration to all of us. And it was a very, very clear case that 10 years before, or 5 years before the revolution, which happened 2 years ago, they had a very, very healthy economy, and lots of people used to invest money in Iceland. And then some of the politicians were corrupted by some bankers, and they changed the laws and they privatized the central bank, the national bank. And then within 5 years, they were in debt, massive debt, billions. And the Icelandic people said, we're not paying for the bankers' mistakes. We're not going to bail them out. Why should we bail out a private company? We had a national bank only 5-10 years ago, and it was doing very well. Then it got privatised. Then we've all ended up with this massive problem. And why should we bail them out? It's a private bank. And they started to look into it and realised their politicians were corrupt. They made bad decisions. And in fact, they weren't bad decisions. They were corrupted decisions. So they had their revolution, and it was successful. After the revolution, there was a volcano that erupted. And, you know, some of us who look into what HARP can do realise that they can trigger volcano eruptions and they can trigger earthquakes. And
Max, that information about them being able to trigger earthquakes, about triggering volcanic eruptions, you're not making that up. That's coming from patents and other information, right? Where are you getting that information from?
That's quite right. Yeah. Well, I think it was a man called was it Lakeland that did the patents for HARP. He's died now, but actually this technology, these patents for this are much older than that. They come from Nikola Tesla. And Nikola Tesla theorized that he could split the Earth, he could control the weather, he could do a great... He's got hundreds of patents, but he was blackballed at the time because he wanted to give everybody free electricity. He claimed he could take electricity from static electricity in the atmosphere, in the ionosphere. And he demonstrated this, and JP Morgan, who was funding him at the time, withdrew his funding and was able to stop him from sharing those patents with someone else, because he was the man who was controlled all the copper, and he realised that all the copper wiring that was needed for electricity, for transporting all electricity, he wouldn't make all his money, so he stopped that. But Nikola Tesla is the guy who is responsible for HARP, ultimately, and all his patents were shared out. They were actually, a lot of his information was destroyed in a fire, in a laboratory fire, but his patents were confiscated by the FBI and then later used, obviously, for creating these weapons that they have now. And yet we can find out this information, what they can do. And in fact, one of the guys who was asked to do HARP, he was doing an experiment with looking for oil under the ground using a very, very low power version of what HARP is. And they realized they'd triggered earthquakes. They'd done it more than once, and it was like, what's going on? There's a link. And they realised then that they could do this. And I think that most people, if they start digging around, they can find this information, and it's not really hidden. I don't think they can hide it anymore. The genie's out of the bottle. These things that they can do with these weapons are real and quite documented, and it's incredible, actually, the information you can find.
Absolutely. And, I've done a lot of research. I've been researching government corruption for about 25 years in my spare time, and my eyes were opened a long time ago to all of these things. And what you find is that most people will not argue with the fact that the military has technologies that are 30 to 50 years beyond what we know about. And once you open their mind to that, once you say, well, that you would agree that military technology is far beyond. Well, think about what we'll be able to do with technology in 30 or 50 years, but they're already doing it. So why is it such a difficult step to come to the conclusion that they're already doing these things if we know how far advanced their technology is? So it's kind of like once you open their mind up to that thought, I think it's much easier to introduce them to those kinds of ideas. I do want to encourage anyone who's listening on the conference phone, if you want to ask a question for Mona or Max, please press *6 on your phone, or if you're in the chat room and you have a question, type it into the chat box. Max, I did want to get to a question. Somebody wanted to know if you were still in France.
Yes, I live in France. I've lived. I was born and bred in Brighton, in the UK. I travelled all around England, living in different places. Then I went to live in Germany for many years, and then I lived in Australia for a couple of years, and I've finally settled here in France. It's a wonderful place. I'm very lucky.
That's wonderful. So Mona, what do you think about all this stuff? Max is we got to give Max a radio talk show. I mean, he's got this stuff down, and he needs to talk to the world. I think he would love it. Mona, what's your take on all this? Have you heard? Have you studied up on some of the stuff that Max has been talking about?
Yes, I had an awakening about 4 years ago, and that process, I guess I looked and I experienced life differently. And from that, every day I just look at something new. I don't watch television anymore. I just use the internet, communicate with people around the world, my source information. For me, my life experience, I can only talk about what I experienced. I'm not a scientific, and I'm not as knowledgeable as Max. I'm not as articulate as Max.
Hey, Mona, I'm sorry to interrupt you a second. Hey, Max, I wonder if you're able to mute your microphone. I think Mona keeps...
Yeah, it was on mute. I did mute it.
Oh, was it? Okay. Okay, yeah, we're getting just lots of sound artifacts with Mona here, and Skype said it was coming through your channel, but apparently Skype is got a mind of its own tonight, but that's all right. Mona, go ahead. Go ahead, continue. Sorry about that.
What I have done is I connect with people, anybody that can teach me, and Max is somebody that I've connected to where there's quite a few people now that I stay in touch with, and it's about doing my own research. For me, I was diagnosed HIV positive in 2003. That changed my life. You know, I fell into a pit of, oh my God, self-pity. And then through a process of understanding, that was an opportunity for me to learn about the pharmaceutical industry and how it works. Now that in itself opened up my eyes. Over the last 4 years, I struggled with addiction for years. And in the last 4 years, I've remained totally abstinent. Now, that means I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't take any mood-altering substances. And through that process, again, I had another awakening. And I realised how not only the pharmaceutical industry works, but how, people around me, how people shut down and how addiction is personified in so many different levels in society around me, especially when I'm working now on raising awareness, when I see people in everyday life, and when they become overwhelmed, they shut down, or they'll go and they'll take a substance to stop feeling. Because so many changes that are happening, especially around me. I can only talk about my experiences in my life, but especially in the last year, so many things have been happening regarding, what's happening with just the weather around the world, the horrific things that's been happening within the weather. As I said, the way that I've awoken to the way the pharmaceutical industry works, and I awoke to codex of food, hearing about the toxins that get into the food, and then I fluoride, and then I became aware of the educational system, the government, how government is run. It just completely opened my eyes. The more I know, the more I feel I need to know. It's just a total awakening. And conversations with Max are wonderful. I mean, we're having like an hour conversation earlier on this evening, and we had this conversation yesterday. And it's an opportunity for me to learn through communicating with people through the internet, but having those conversations. For me, at the moment, I'm planning to go on a raw food diet, try and change my pH balance, and try to change my diet to see if I can change my CD4 and viral load by taking responsibility for my diet. And in that process, I'm in communication with lots of people through the internet, teaching me about food. The main thing that this awareness has taught me is to become humble and to say it's okay not to know. As I said, I'm a creative person, and I struggle with taking in information unless I have somebody to communicate in person with me, and then I feel energy. I work on energy. I'm a person that if I meet you on the street and if you have a conversation with me, I will get it, I will understand it. Where I live, the community that I live, I love it. It's a global village, Portobello Road, and I'm up and down Portobello Road handing out my information. I've always got leaflets, and I'm always, talking to my community, sitting at a coffee shop. I had a conversation with a friend the other day about quantum mechanics. Now, I'm a creative person, and I didn't have a clue what he was saying to me, but there was a process where I stopped acting out of fear. I stopped trying to understand from my head logically, and I opened my heart. And then through a process of letting go, it all started to make sense what he was communicating to me. And that's another process that I'm experiencing through lessons that I've been programmed to believe in. It's like as Max was explaining earlier on, it's how we've been manipulated and lied to from the moment we're born, and we're tagged and labelled, and we're told how to think, how to feel, how to behave. And just learning to unlearn everything and be okay, be happy with yourself, and not worry whether you're, that you drive a big car or you walk, you live in a big house or you live in a trailer. None of those things matter. All that matters is that we learn to let go and learn to follow what our hearts or our energy tell us to do. And that's the process that I've done. And that's the connection I have with Max when I first met Max. He's somebody that definitely comes from his heart. And in this process, on this journey that I'm on, I'm meeting, it's like the energy and the attraction of the people and the information that I am meeting now is absolutely wonderful. It's the blue pill, red pill. And once you, made the decision, when I became aware, there was no way that I could not have been aware. And it's a gift and it's a blessing. This knowledge is very freeing because through this process, it's opened my heart up, and I'm becoming fearless. At the beginning when I put the London conference together, and it was quite frightening at the beginning because I thought, oh gosh, I'm going to get followed around by agents, and I'm going to get chaps in black coats following me, they're going to be tapping into my phone. And I had all these silly fears, and it was fear. None of that happened. And even the gatherings that we get together in central London, nothing bad happened. So far, it's been positive. This whole awakening experience has been really, really positive and loving, and may it continue.
Well, that's great. That's awesome. A lot of us are learning so many things about the world. I know that I've been in this for quite a while, and, it's kind of funny because I think to myself, I studied all this stuff for years and years. I learned about how governments worked. I learned about corruption. I learned about, what the people at the top of the heap who run the real show in the world, what they really believed. And I always wondered inside myself, when is this information ever going to become useful? I like knowing it because it helped me understand the world and it helped me maneuver in the world, but I'm just like, it's really funny because now so many people are waking up, and it's like now this information is relevant in a big way, and so it's all coming together. So it's nice to it's really nice to experience that. I don't want to keep you guys up too long. You've been so helpful and such troopers for staying up late. You're on a very different time than we are.
It's okay. I don't mind. I'm buzzing. I'm really excited, actually, talking to you and to Mona and hearing what's going on. So you keep it going as long as you like.
Oh, okay. Well, I definitely appreciate it. We probably, what I want to do is I would love to have you guys on again, and like maybe focus on some of these other subjects too because you're interested in a wide range of subjects, both of you are, and so there's a lot to talk about. I do want to keep these segments, close to an hour if possible, so that they're digestible for people to listen to, in a reasonable amount of time. But I would love to do more of them because you both are very articulate, and it's just wonderful talking to you. I think that what I would love to do is try to wrap things up, give you both the floor one more time for the final things you want to say to people and how people can support you, not only on April 6th, but on your April 7th launch and beyond on your Chug-A-Boom tour through the UK. Mona, why don't you start out first and tell us what you would like to see people do on April 6th and April 7th and beyond during your tour. If there's anything they can do to support you in any way.
Support by, connecting with the Facebook page, which is, I think I've mentioned at the beginning, it's 86 Anti-Geoengineering, Pro-Humanity World Peace Protest. And we'll hopefully be there live. And also, what I would love to suggest is what I've experienced myself in putting a conference together You know, I'm not an expert, but I believed in myself, and I was passionate, and I did it. And it was such a success. We had a lot of people that connected through that process. And I would suggest to anybody, no matter how isolated you feel, set up a Facebook page in your community. You know, invite people to join you, and meet up regularly, get talking to people. You know, a year ago, I walked down the street and people would think I was a nutter and they would cross the road. Now, the very same people cross the road to come and speak to me and ask me questions. You know, because it takes time for a lot of people to become aware, and I've become strong through that process. It doesn't bother me what people think about me. I'm not in this world to try to be liked by people. I'm on this planet. I'm in this existence to grow, spiritually develop. And while I'm here and I'm consciously aware, everything I do, you know, has an action that can have a benefit. And I spent a lot of my time wasting my life, you know, and having that awakening. You know, they say you have a rock bottom or an experience where I really had to pick myself off the floor, and that was the most wonderful experience I had, because I had to become humble and I had to learn. And so I suggest to anybody out there, become humble, do whatever you can to raise awareness, even if it's just talking to a couple of friends. And always keep your heart open, always keep talking, and always stay connected. And I look forward to speaking to you again very soon, Russell. And I'd like to thank Max as well. It's always a wonderful experience talking to Max. He's a beautiful big heart, and it's wonderful to have him on the team.
It's great to have you both here. You're great people. I love the people that I've met in getting involved in raising awareness about these issues, because they're people who care, and those are my kind of people. Max, take the floor to wrap this up. Tell people how they can support you on the 6th, on the 7th, and beyond, and say anything else you want to say. Go ahead, my friend.
Okay, thank you very much, Mona. You always make me feel so good. You're such a lovely person. And Russ, may I just add that when I first came across your site on Facebook, I was so relieved. I was like, wow, this is a fantastic site. I've often used your resources that you make available. I've used your Orbis Vitae site. I've really found out lots of information, and my hat's off to you. You are one of my go-to guys, without a doubt. I'd like to say that. But as far as people wanting to help us on the tour, like any type of help that people want to offer, even if it's just coming along to give us some support, being willing to turn up and just be a flag waver and someone who's willing to share information. But what I would like to do is I'd like to talk to some newspapers. I'd like to get in there somehow. So if anyone works for a newspaper that we can talk to, I want to find a way of confronting these people who aren't addressing these issues. I'd like to meet some people. I'd like to talk to some police. I've talked to some police. After that conference that Mona organised, I was interviewed by the police as I was leaving England and I was going to France. And they just asking personal details and asking details about the van and everything, the Chug-A-Boom. And what I ended up doing was leaving the policeman and his colleagues asking questions, because they didn't know very much. So, it's really important to get in touch and talk to the police, because I'm not a fan of the way sometimes police behave, but they're still people. And, quite often they're just not really that well informed on the wider scale of things. But they're clever people, they're normal people, they're people. And if we can reach out to everyone in society and not be afraid to speak to anyone whatsoever, I think is what I'm trying to get to. Because I have found many times I've talked to people and I've had heated discussions, I've had whimsical discussions, all kinds of different discussions. And I find that every effort is worth the effort. it always pays off. Even if I've had heated discussions with people, well, we've been furious. And and then I've walked away, not knowing when was the right time to walk away, of course. And then months later, I've come across them again, and they've been great. They've been absolutely sensational, and they've taken things on board, because what we're trying to share here is nothing but the truth. And it's hard for people to deal with. It's really hard. We are shattering everyone's illusions, those that haven't woken up yet. And it's a delicate process. I'm starting to try to learn to pull back sharing too much information at once, because it's easy to overwhelm people. But it's all about people uniting together and putting the unity back into our communities, because people have been divided. That's been part of that strategy for decades, is to divide people, to separate people. They use something called the isms. That every type of word ending in an ism is scientifically designed to separate us, to divide us, to feed problems into our lives, to stop us uniting, and we must unite. That really is the ultimate thing. So anyone that wants to meet up with us on the tour and come along with us on a tour, or suggest places where we should go or whatever, I think we've got to do whatever we can, and not to worry. This isn't going to be the last tour. We're going to do as many tours as we can. We'll just keep going all the time, and until the momentum, the ball is just rolling and rolling and rolling until critical mass is reached. And critical mass means that enough people understand the truth, and we can move change. We can make change through peaceful means, and because enough people, like the police and like the scientific community, I'm willing to go to universities and talk to any of these lecturers, these professors. I'm willing to confront all of them with facts. When I say confront, I don't mean I'm going to have a fight with them. I'm willing to trade off facts with them. I'm willing to expose truth for what they think is the truth, and I'm willing to take. I'd like to say one thing to people like David Keith and Ken Caldera. And Ken Caldera, I think he might be on the cusp of being a good person somewhere deep down. He's just working very hard at what he's doing. Think of nature and think of how wonderful the planet is. It's got its own systems. The planet works in a sensitive, self-regulating system, and we shouldn't be messing with it. There's no need to. Global warming's a lie. So everyone should reach out to these people, start being willing to share the information. There's a lot of good information out there, and it's just a case of being confident enough to share it. And I think that's really important. And as far as geoengineering concerned and blocking out the sunlight, there's a word called dendrochronology, and it's the science of dating volcanic eruptions in the past by tree rings. And the way that they managed to establish exactly when a volcano erupted in the past is because the tree ring is so narrow they can barely count it, and they can accurately say that's when the volcano erupted. Think about that. It's blocking out the sun. The tree wasn't growing very fast. Photosynthesis. Their plan is ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. And no amount of persuasion from these people now could ever persuade me that what they're doing is the right thing. They're deranged, and they're obviously working for their funding or whatever motivation it is. And maybe some of them are genuinely convinced for some reason. I do actually know some scientists personally, and I know that they live by strict rules. They take a long time through their education process, and it's very, very channeled, and these people can be very blinkered, and they've lost their philosophical element to their way of thinking. They're very streamlined, so I'm willing to take them on. But people need to be willing to speak out, and hopefully driving around the country, people will realise we're willing to speak out, and we can inspire some other people to speak out, And if we can give them the opportunity to speak out or to join in and help encourage other people to understand what's really going on, then our time is wonderful, isn't it? That's the beneficial thing. If we can get more people thinking and more people willing to take the time out, find the information and share the information, then that's a success, isn't it? That's wonderful, because we just want to get the momentum going. So we want to reach critical mass. And that's really what we want. That's all we want, because that's the only way we're going to make the change, is by enough people knowing the truth. When people know the truth, it becomes common sense. People really can, they can see the truth, when enough people know it. So that's what we've got to do, just wake everyone up.
Very.
You're doing a great job, and Mike is doing a wonderful job, and so many people. I'm so inspired. The change, since I first started to decide to dedicate my life to chemtrails and exposing it and all the other issues, wow, the number of people that are waking up, it's tremendous. I really believe this year will be the year of change for us all. I know that the New World Order and these governments, the United Nations and all that, they've got their agendas, but I think they've gone far too far, and I think everyone's waking up, and we are going to see freedom this year. I think it's inevitable. It's up to us, though. It's up to us to make that happen.
Yes, absolutely, it is up to us. In fact, on the banner on the Chemtrails Global Skywatch Facebook group, in the lower right corner, I said, "It's up to you." That's what the logo says there. It's up to you, because it really is. It's up to the people, because you have so much power, you have so much influence, and you don't know it. You've been taught that you can't fight City Hall, yet every fight that's ever been taken against City Hall has started with one person, and so you can succeed. It's been a pleasure talking to you two. I do have people asking for contact information or a website. Max, do you have a website that people can go to, or to see you, or see what's up? Or
the thing is, I've got my Facebook page, Max Bliss, and I've got my YouTube channel, Mr. Max Bliss, and I've got a blog called Mr. Max Bliss at wordpress.com, or mrmaxbliss.wordpress.com. But really, I haven't got a website. I'm not that far advanced with technology. I'm kind of like a really sort of natural sort of basic person, and I haven't got those technical skills. Actually, I haven't got the time. I wish I had the time. And if anyone is listening to this and they may be disappointed that I haven't answered any of their questions or messages that I can literally get hundreds every day, and I don't have the time to go through all of those. So for all of those people, I really welcome your questions, and please keep sending them. But if I don't get back to you, I'm sorry. It doesn't mean I haven't read them or anything. It's just that I have to make a decision whether or not I can really give you the quality answer, and I don't want to give you a quick shoddy one. And so sometimes I just make that sacrifice and don't answer everyone. But I could do with some help one day with the technical side of things, I'm sure.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Well, let me go over those websites then. You do have a blog. Do you blog very often?
Well, I did when I first started up, and I had the intention to do it more often. The problem is I can't keep up with everything. I just do the best I can.
Okay.
And until I get better at time management and manage to set aside that time, I must do it. I know I need to do it, because some people do pay attention to it, and I value all the support I can get, and the opportunity to share information. So,
well, let's see if we can get a few more people paying attention. Your blog is Mr. Max Bliss. Is that MrMaxBliss at WordPress, or not at, sorry, .wordpress.com.
No, not at WordPress. I got that wrong, actually. It's Mr. Max Bliss, all one word, .wordpress.com.
Okay, so Mr. Max Bliss .wordpress.com.
Yes, that's it, yeah.
Okay, that's where you can see his blog, and on Facebook, you're just Max Bliss, and on YouTube, you're Mr. Max Bliss, right?
Yes, that's right.
All right, great. So now you know where you can keep an eye on what Max is up to, and let me tell you, Max is active and he's busy. Mona, people want to know where they can see your messages, your information. Would you like to share any website or Facebook account, or what would you like to do?
Hello, yes. I have a Facebook page called London Anti-Geoengineering Chemtrails on Agenda 21 awareness page. And we've also got the Chug-A-Boom awareness. That event is up and running now. So if you want to communicate me or Max and follow our adventure and be part of it, it'd be wonderful to have everybody connected to us when we're on tour. Come and talk to us. And yes, I'm on Facebook, Marilyn Merman.
Awesome.
There is also, I think we're going to have Terry Lawton coming with us as well.
Yes, Terry.
Good.
Russ, do you know of Terry Lawton?
I believe so.
He's a fantastic Irish fella who he came to the London conference and he videoed a bit of it, and the following day we went into the centre of London and we just talked to loads of people in the streets of London, and it was sensational. He's a very energetic, very knowledgeable person, and he's doing a fantastic job of raising awareness to fluoride, the poison that you put into the water to pacify the populations and to give people cancer and stuff like that. And he's been raising awareness about chemtrails and various other issues. He's a really, really powerful, positive person. So yeah, he's coming with us as well. So I was trying to get in contact with him to get him onto this meeting. I'm sorry he couldn't be here, but I'm sure for a future one, definitely get Terry on. He's such an energetic person and so positive.
Absolutely. And anytime you guys, if you have something to say, you need to get a message out, feel free to contact me, and I'll be more than happy to set up a stream and broadcast that we're doing this. Well, I tell you what, we probably should wrap it up. It's late there, and I want to keep these programs in a digestible length so people can listen to them all in one sitting. You are both fantastic. The work that you are doing is extremely important. I believe that chemtrails are the largest crime against humanity in the history of this planet. They're harming everybody, even if you don't feel the effects. I am feeling the effects, and you will eventually, because when you breathe nanoparticles, your lifespan is determined. This is scientifically proven. Your lifespan is determined by the quantity and the smallness of the particles that you breathe. Your lifespan will be reduced. So how many years have we all lost already because we've suffered internal damage, even if you're not feeling the effects, although I know many people who are. Mona, Max, thank you so much for being with us tonight. We'll talk again. Please stay on Skype for a couple minutes, and we'll say a personal goodbye. I'm going to shut down the recording, and everybody, please join us Monday night. If you're listening, call in or go to globalskywatch.com/live. That is where you can join our live stream or get more information about the conferences that we're having, or call in by phone. Good night, everybody.